I've been pondering the nature of the spiritual search, and realized, how many of us are in many ways driven on the spiritual seeking, unconsciously in a way, by a search for answers. If only I can find the right answer, if only I can find the right teacher, if only I can find the right practice, I'll know. It'll increase my spiritual knowledge, or I'll actually get it by then. And this seeking is part of the mechanism, part of the innate nature of how human beings, move in the world. It is part of our human nature to search and to seek. That's how we get answers. That's how we build things. That's how we create things. That's how we've gotten to this point in our evolution, collective and individual evolution, in a good way. But the spiritual search isn't like that. It sort of has threads of it. But ultimately, the true spiritual search is not about seeking and getting more answers. It's a different thing altogether. It's about completely changing the relationship that we have to ourselves, to our experience, and to the world itself. And this calls us to look with a very different sort of perspective, to look with a very different kind of attitude, if you want. Instead of going, the thing with seeking, the thing with searching, looking for answers, is that it pulls us into the future. It pulls us to the next, to the next, to the next. If I can get this, then this will happen. If I can find that answer, that'll happen. That's in the future, right? It has to be in the future. So it's an implicit movement into the future. But what if we change that around and ask ourselves, how am I relating to the world? How am I relating to myself? How am I relating to my body? How am I relating to my thoughts? How am I relating to the world? How deep am I going in this relationship? Is there a deeper aspect to this relationship that I have? Who is this I? Who is the I that seems to be forever having a relationship with experience? It's a sort of way of totally reframing how it is for us, so that we don't concentrate and focus so much on getting an answer, but we look at the nuances of our relationship with existence, with our existence. The relationship that we have with our existence, where it's coming from, how deep it is, whether that relationship is occluded, sullied, tempered, shrouded, veiled by, inherent beliefs that we're carrying, which means that we're more likely to be in a constant state of agitation, low-grade agitation or high-grade agitation. We're more prone to agitated thinking. The nervous system is in a state of fight or flight, or bracing for something that might happen. And so we're looking, in seeking answers, we're looking for a future answer to solve those problems. But it doesn't work like that, right? A little bit sometimes, but mostly it involves us looking at how we're relating to to life, seeing what stands in the way, what occludes our open awareness relationship with our existence, and then deepening into it. Can I accept this? Can I open to this? Can I open to this? What does it feel like to open to this? This kind of gets us deep into the subtle energy body. This gets us deep into our nervous system body. It keeps us grounded and stops us flying into a whole host of questions. It takes us into the mental realm and ultimately into the theoretical, spiritual, theoretical world. And this way of of relating to our experience directly brings us into an intimacy. An intimacy with our experience is where we're going with this. Because the one who is spiritually realized is having a direct relationship with their experience, with their existence. It's not shrouded by anything. It's not veiled in any way. It's not mitigated in any way. It's a direct experience. And that means that it's intimate. It's intimate. Totally intimate. Because there's no gap. In many ways, there's no subject and object. There's no me and it. There's no veil that comes down between the experiencer and the experienced. And whilst this may sound phantasmagorical and, transcendent or, ecstatic or impossible or something, it actually happens the other way, because it's more about melting and relaxing and softening into the experience one is having. So you're not going up and out, you're going down and in. And in that is a kind of merging with existence, with experience. And so these edges of perception, the edges of self, the edge of, argument, stuff all start melting. And this is a very, very different quality. Yeah? It's a very, very different quality to the, staying on the mental level and searching for answers to our spiritual conundrums or our suffering. Answers will never solve the issue of suffering. Only intimacy with that suffering from a place of equanimity and grace and love will resolve the issue of suffering, and often not in the way that we imagine. And that's a very deep thing to realize. Our suffering, really, whatever it is, it's only by entering the suffering that the suffering resolves. And that requires the courage that I've talked about in millions of videos. It requires a certain courage and a certain surrender and a certain willingness to enter the fire, enter the suffering, enter our pain, enter the body, enter our grievances naked. Naked. And by doing that, we start to change the relationship that we have with our suffering. And by and by, it starts to soften it, simply because we're entering it with love, simply because we're ending the resistance we have to it. It's resistance to what we experience that causes the distress, that prolongs the suffering. And when we drop that resistance and enter it willingly with the light of our love, or just the light of our willingness, it starts to soften. Everything starts to soften. So I wanted to say that because it's a very, very different thing to searching for answers, for instance. Oh dear. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. Be well.